You've tried cutting carbs, only eating 1,200 calories a day, sometimes only eating one meal a day just to lose some weight, but yet there's still no luck. So I'm gonna go over exactly how you can lose 20 to 30 pounds. This is exactly the stuff that I train my clients to do who are 30 to 40 to 50 years old. So then that way they can lose the weight that they need to and keep it off for life. So then that way they're feeling good in their body and so they're at their healthiest. Now let's talk about training, because cardio alone is not gonna make changes to your physique. It can make some decent changes, but if you're trying to get toned, have a flatter stomach, and get fitter overall and drop body fat, gotta weight train. You burn the most calories, it's the most bang for buck in the shortest amount of time. So here's how I train and also what I give my clients. 3 to 4 days of weight training every week. They can either be upper, lower workouts or full body workouts. The most important thing is making sure you're doing enough exercises and enough sets and reps every week within those workouts to build muscle. That's where a lot of people go wrong. They'll come in the gym, do 100 reps for an exercise, move to the next, or they just kind of randomly do it. But scientifically, they're actually not doing enough to build muscle, so they're kind of wasting their time. The next thing is making sure that you're progressive overloading. I know, everybody says this, but they do it wrong. Track your weights weekly. For example, if you have an exercise, leg extensions, you have 3 sets of 8 to 10. Over the course of the next 5 weeks, start with a weight heavy enough to fail around 8 reps. Even if it's 7 reps and below the rep range, it's fine. And then the next week, force out the next couple of reps to get up to 9, to get up to 10 reps, to then make all sets around 10 or even 11 reps, and then bump up the weight by 5 to 10 pounds. So then that way the reps will come back down because it's now really heavy again, and you're gonna have to rebuild your way back up in reps, which is what builds muscle. But people lose track of this week to week, so just do this over the course of like the next 5 weeks. And then on the 6th week, give yourself a deload week where you drop the weights by like maybe 20%, do some lighter workouts, some easier stuff. And then if you reflect back on your journal on the last 5 weeks, on that 5th week, the heaviest weights that you use, go down by like 10% of those and use those as your new starting weights for the next 5 weeks, and then rebuild your way back up. This way you kind of go back and forth, but you're never really at where you started out, and you'll maybe only be there sometimes, but that's how you progressive overload with recovery. So that way you don't burn out, so you can lose body fat, build muscle, and shape up your body. Even for me, every 5 weeks or so, I'm going back and forth between some weights where it's like a new 5 weeks of training. If it's like a new 5 weeks, I won't start at the heaviest that I ended off. I'll start off at like 10 or maybe 20% below that and rebuild my way back up, while still making sure I'm choosing weights that are helping me achieve failure. And the weights are still, sometimes the weights for some exercises are a little bit closer to what I was previously doing, because for some, like leg extensions, I'm really strong. I can't really go any heavier than like the whole stack. But for compound lifts, you'll see more of a change in the weights that you use, because you can get really strong with those, which you should try to do that, by the way. But with some accessory lifts, you might not be able to. But I would say for most people, even like my clients, there's a lot of room for strength building, even with a lot of accessories. So just really try to focus on that progressive overload weekly. And as long as you have machines, dumbbells, cables, they're the most joint friendly, the easiest to load, and you save the most time by doing them. You can have barbell work in your plan if you want, but it will take a little bit longer to warm up to. It is fine if you have a couple of exercises with barbell work. Like, it's not gonna like do anything crazy, of course. Great exercises, but I would say for most people who are like intermediate to beginner, machines, dumbbells, and cables are like the easiest to get started with, and they're the less complicated to kind of get down. So you can kind of just get into the flow of working out with too many complications with like form and like needing crazy tweaks and stuff like that. It just makes things a lot easier. I think machines, cables, and dumbbells are kind of a blessing. And my sessions are like an hour. There's no way I'm spending like 3 or even 2 hours in the gym just to train, to build muscle and lose body fat. I used to do that, but when you actually look at the science behind what it takes to build muscle, what it takes to lose body fat, your workouts can literally be only like an hour and you'll lose body fat to build muscle. And I do cardio as support, not as my main fat burning tool. Weight training is a main fat burning tool. Scientifically, you should do 100 to 150 minutes of like vigorous cardio per week for really good heart health. But even if you started off with 100 minutes a week, which is like 4 sessions of 25 minutes of walking on the treadmill at an incline, which for some of you guys might be like a little bit more vigorous than not like vigorous as in hard. That's really good for me. I'm at like 20 minutes 4 times a week of steady state, pretty easy cardio. Getting out for a walk or something like that, because I don't have much body fat to lose. But if you just started off with 20 minutes 4 times a week, or even 30 minutes 3 times a week, walking on the treadmill at an incline, went outside for a normal walk, or even 30 to 40 minutes 3 times a week, that adds up week after week on top of weight training. So lock in 3 or 4 times a week of steady state cardio, 20 to 30 minutes each, along with 3 to 4 days of weight training, and just be consistent with it and choose only what you can do. Don't overschedule. Like, just keep it like that for 6 weeks and build progress in the plan, and you'll lose body fat and build muscle. And this is the exact training approach that I use with my 30, 40, or even 50-year-old clients to build muscle, lose body fat, and actually look better. It's not overcomplicated. It doesn't take up all your time. It's funner than being crazy about it, and it'll actually help you lock in the results. Of course, with your eating, you have to make sure that you're in a calorie deficit daily and weekly. Without that, again, no bueno. they know no fat loss is gonna happen. So make sure you calculate your calorie deficit, get that in check, and then add in these things that I just talked about to make sure that you're good. For me, I eat 3 meals and a snack, sometimes maybe also a 4th meal if I'm a little bit hungry. Most of my clients who are super busy and they have families, they usually eat 3 meals and a snack, or maybe 3 meals and 2 snacks to make sure that they're fueled through the day. Nutrition isn't about being perfect, but it's about being pretty consistent with the main things, especially when it comes to fat loss, like being in a calorie deficit, knowing how much food to eat with each meal to make sure that you can stay in that deficit, and also knowing how to eat out and enjoy your life without it affecting the plan, if that makes sense. And you can do that by using the simple tweak that I just talked about to make sure that it's balanced. Now, the second thing is nutrition. We all kind of know this. It's one of the big things. It's so funny to me though, because sometimes I'll say that training is more important than nutrition, and it is to an extent because people don't know how, and you can know how. It's just hard to do, but some people just don't know how to keep training hard enough to change their body, which is why sometimes I say that training is harder than nutrition. But nutrition is one of the other big key parts, and people either starve themselves or they just overdo it on the weekend and they're just inconsistent. So here's what to focus on. Make sure to have 30 to 40 grams of protein at every meal. That could even be 50 grams per meal as well. If you can ensure that you can do that and you eat every 3 to 4 hours, you're gonna be definitely on track with the amount of nutrition that you need in a day to build muscle long term and also lose body fat. And then the next step is making sure that you're not just cutting out carbs. Your body needs glucose in order to train hard. How do you build muscle? You do that by training in the gym, not just by eating food, right? So you gotta make sure that you're actually fueling for that. Otherwise, it's not gonna go well. And then making sure that your food is balanced with fats is also important. So if you're cooking your food, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is that people overload their meals with fats, like oils, avocados, and butter, simply just because it tastes super good. But if you're just able to swap up your fats with canola cooking oil spray, and maybe even just using minimal, like olive oil, and also minimal fats in general, it's gonna make your life so much easier compared to just like overloading your meals with a bunch of fat. So if you get the protein in check, if you get the meals in check, and eating every 3 to 4 hours, and then your fats are cut down just a little bit more, like you're just tapering them off and using what you just only need for fats, it's gonna make your life so much better in terms of fat loss and also building muscle as well. Here's the most important part that most people miss. It's the consistency and the lifestyle aspect. You need to make sure that you have your nutrition dialed in with simple habits. Even my clients don't track their food every day because it's super complicated. You need to have a training plan set in place that's simple and effective and that doesn't take up all your time. So then that way you can enjoy your life outside of the gym. And I really do recommend having a weekly check-in either with yourself or with a coach if you pay for one, or if you want a coach, then I'm your guy. But it just helps you stay locked in with the things that you need to do with your training and nutrition to make sure that you're good. If the plan doesn't work with your life, it's not gonna work. But this is how my clients lose 20 to 30 pounds and keep it off for life while feeling good and also while still having a life. Of course, along the way, I make tweaks and I coach them and I give them the little ninja secrets and the ins and outs to make sure that they're progressing, which you don't just get from this kind of video. But I hope that this gives you the insights that you need to at least move the needle forward a little bit more. And if you really do want some help with planning out your nutrition and your training and also having the mindset locked in and the accountability, just reach out on Instagram at Nick Wild Aesthetics and message me the word transform, and I can walk you through how I can do that with you and also even show you what that will look like, so then you can wrap your head around the actual game plan and you'll see that it's actually realistic. And if this was helpful, make sure to hit the like, the subscribe, and comment down below in the comment section. And I'll make sure to keep dropping no BS science-based fitness videos just like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching and have an amazing day.